Hello, everyone. Welcome to the American Halal Institute's Halal Strategic Development for Your Business webinar. My name is Ibi Nasir, and on behalf of the American Halal Institute, I would like to thank you all for joining us. I hope you are all safe and well and making the best out of the uncertain times we are in. If you are attending this webinar, you either want to take your company to the next level through the prospects of halal, or you might have some intrigue in the halal industry. Nevertheless, the American Halal Institute is here to be your guiding hand throughout your halal experience. We are holding these webinars to help inform the public on the halal industry, and we want to tailor them to what the public wishes to know. In this webinar, we will be covering everything you need to know about the halal industry. We will examine the fundamental aspects of halal, what it represents, and the opportunities halal present to us in the domestic space. We will also be diving into the intricacies and technical features of the halal certification process. By breaking down from start to finish what halal slaughtering entails, as well as cover the proper way to package, transport, and handle halal goods, we hope to give a holistic view of the halal industry. So, the question is, why this big push for halal in the United States? As the Muslim population in the United States continues to grow, the demand for halal certified products will continue to increase. Currently, there are very limited avenues for halal consumption for Muslims in the US. Now, let's take a minute to introduce our guest speakers. First, we are very fortunate to have the president of AHI, Salah Ubaidullah, here to share his expertise on the fundamental aspects of halal. Salah has dedicated his life to the halal industry, working in the halal financial sector for years. We are very lucky to have him impart his knowledge on us and what he has to offer about the halal industry. Next, we have the distinguished Asad Sajjad joining us. Asad has been a halal agenda promoter since 2008, emphasizing the importance of halal compliance and the power of halal branding and opening the door to the trillion-dollar halal industry. Asad Sajjad has been involved with numerous halal startup companies, ranging from certifiers to halal economy developers. He is currently the director of the International Halal Certification Body. Last but most certainly not least, we have the esteemed Mufti Zishan Abdulaziz here with us today. Mufti Zishan studied and specialized in halal food and pharmaceutical ingredients. He has dedicated his life to the research and maintaining of credible halal certifying agents. Serving as CEO of the International Halal Certification, Mufti Zishan acts as lead auditor for the agency. In North America, the current halal food market stands at over $1.4 trillion and is projected to eclipse $2 trillion by 2022. You don't find these growth margins every day, which is why it is the perfect time to enter the halal market space. Muslims in the US are substituting their desire for halal certified goods with kosher certified products due to the intrinsic similarities between the two qualifications. At the moment, the US kosher market is significantly more embedded into the fabric of American society. However, the shift towards halal is already occurring. Each year, US Muslims spend about $16 billion on kosher certified products due to the lack of a noticeable halal brand in the US market. US Muslims are waiting for the market to catch up and supply their needs to continuously live a righteous life. I came across an article yesterday that I found very intriguing, and I thought it would be perfect to share with you all. The article was written by Business Wire, a company owned by Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, and the piece references the global halal food and beverage market and states that it is expected to show compelling growth in terms of revenue with a compounded annual growth rate of 5.8% during the forecasting period within the next 7 years. Brother Salah, can you define halal for us and touch upon the fundamental aspects of halal and possibly explain to us the difference between what is halal and what is haram?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, I would like to reiterate what Brother Ibrahim said in terms of welcoming you all to this webinar. And I hope that by the time we end this webinar that you have learned enough about the halal space. And hopefully, if you have any interest, that you will be joining us in terms of either applying for certification or for training or for knowing more about the halal space, inshallah. As AHI, AHI is American Halal Institute, and we basically started the company in order to make sure that the American Muslim community has a credible agency or credible certifying agency that would put its stamps on products and services in the US and whatever it's, even if it's being exported overseas, to make sure that the Muslim consumer has the confidence that when they see something that is labeled as halal is truly halal. And this is something that we hope to expand in the US for many of the American companies, and also the opportunity that comes along with it for overseas. Many people do not understand what halal is. Halal is basically in Islam, it means permissible, meaning that whatever you are allowed to eat or whatever you are allowed to have, whether it's a vitamin, whether it's food, whether it's meat, even on the service side or even on the economic side or investment side, that we have certain conditions that must be met in order to certify it as halal. AHI mission, AHI was made or started to promote halal products and services by providing a reliable and trustworthy certification with the following objectives in mind. We want to simplify the certification process to make it worthwhile for those seeking halal certification. We also want to assure the Muslim consumers, domestically or internationally, that certified products meet the halal requirements. We also want to increase the halal competition, which will ultimately allow for better pricing for the halal consumer. And we also would like to collaborate with internationally recognized certifiers such as our partners in overseas, the IHC, whose key managers will be participating in this webinar. Let me just also talk about further about IHC. IHC is one of the premier certifying agencies overseas with accreditation in most countries overseas, which many of those countries would require to have you accredited for them to accept your label as a halal certified product. Halal, as I said before, in Arabic means permissible or lawful. In the Quran, the word halal is contrasted with haram. Of course, there are many categories within the halal or haram category. We have something called mandatory, meaning that it's an obligation for a Muslim to follow. There are certain things that are called recommended, meaning that it's preferred for a Muslim to do it. And there are certain things that are neutral, which means Islam remains silent about it. And of course, we go into the reprehensible, meaning makruh in Arabic, which means that it's not liked. And of course, we have also the forbidden aspect of it. The forbidden is really where a Muslim is really very concerned about, especially American Muslims, where if it's forbidden, they cannot really have it. Halal, in order to really somehow connect you to what halal is, many Americans have an understanding of what kosher is. And I'm going to contrast this with what kosher is, so that and make the comparison between kosher and halal. We have, in terms of, when we say halal, it's not just, like an example. If we were to talk about meat, we're not just concerned about how the animal is slaughtered, but how is it packaged? How is it transported? How is it, when does it arrive to the customer? So we really have a concept it's called F to F, meaning the farm to the fork, meaning that every single thing that the halal product goes through must be halal or must be acceptable Islamically. And of course, it's not just meat. We're talking about cosmetics, drugs, vitamins, everything that a Muslim consumes. Every time I go to the supermarket, when I buy even intimates or whatever, I look at the label and see, because there is no certification, I start looking for ingredients that would tell me if this item is halal or at least acceptable for me, that there is no something in it that contradicts my values. So, so if producers, suppliers, retailers should really understand the halal processing requirement and all the international laws. I mean, because if you want to export anything overseas, you have to also understand the environment in which you are exporting your products, and therefore you need to also know, there are certain countries that unless a particular agency is accredited by that country, it will not allow their label, halal label, to be acceptable. They will not consider that halal label to be acceptable, and therefore, you have to be very careful in choosing your halal certifying agency. And IHC provides us with that umbrella where they cover most of the countries, especially Muslim countries throughout the world.